And I was unable to keep Paul's love out. I could no longer shut him out. And all that male, I have no feelings except hate and the need for food and sex, all that just kind of crumbled, and I let Paul's love into my heart. And I'm unable to get it out. And so for the rest of my life, I know I could do bad things, I can be a horrible person, but I will always have the love of Paul Stanley. And when I'm down to like nothing and I'm just have like 4 saltine crackers in a cardboard box near the bus station, it'll just be 4 crackers, a box, and Paul's love. And you know something? That'll be okay for me. So anyway, they go on, and they keep on doing nothing but the hits, and Gene Simmons spits fire out of his mouth, which is really cool. And then at one point, Gene, who's been like flashing his tongue all night, he stands still, and a roadie puts a cable into his back where we're not supposed to see that stuff. And all of a sudden he goes, ooh, and everyone's like, whoa, fucking Gene can fly. But everyone knew it was just a cable and a harness, and he goes like, and all of a sudden Gene Simmons is like 30 feet above us, and he's no longer doing his thing with the tongue. He's now has a whole different expression on his face. It's like this. When he's doing this bass solo. And we all know he's got something in his mouth. He's got a mouthful of cherry red corn syrup, which is supposed to be blood. And after the end of the bass solo, he's gonna go blah, and all the fake blood's gonna go all down his bib, and we're all gonna go, whoa. Now, Gene Simmons has been spitting corn syrup out of his mouth since 1858. And everyone at this show, except for me, has seen him do it minimum a dozen times. So you figured they'd be bored of it, and you figured Gene Simmons would be bored of it. No one was bored of it, not Gene Simmons. Me, I was becoming just a knot of anticipation, like, oh my God, here comes the blood. I totally was swept up in the theater of Gene Simmons, all this wild uplighting. His makeup is now like melting off his face. He looks utterly terrifying. He looks like this drunk kabuki doll. Like, and after the end of this bass solo, finally goes, and the blood goes down. I was like, we all were like, whoa, fucking whoa. It's amazing theater. And it's just the way he presented it, because we all know it's corn syrup, but the way he does it was such gusto and bravado and passion. It was awesome. Anyway, they keep playing. He finally comes down, and all the time we've been getting nothing but rockin' TNA the whole night. There's 2 guys on stage with these cameras. They're continually roving the crowd, looking for hot chicks, and they see hot chicks, and they put the camera on the hot-looking girl, and the girl sees herself 80 feet high on the video monitor, and she's like, oh my God, and you see the recognition in her face, like, that's me, oh my God. You see her look at her face, like, look, that's me. Why do you women do that shit? Don't stop. It was amazing to see breasts 80 feet high. And me and every other pathetic guy is like, ugh. Please. It was hilarious. And everyone in the crowd like, whoa! That shit was so cool, man. And it was just festive. There's boobs and the greatest hits and fire and corn syrup, and the band flew around the stage, and they're running around like it's their first ever gig. And then you find out later, the youngest guy in KISS is 51 years old. And they're kicking the ass off like every band I saw last year. They have more energy than like 1,000 of these other bands. And they're all like old men. So anyway, it comes to a point of the gig where they have to slow it down for a little bit, and the band leaves stage, except for the drummer. Peter Criss comes out from behind the drum set with a towel around his neck and a cordless mic. And he sits on the drum riser. Hey, people. Can I sing a song for you? Would that be all right? A tape machine plays Beth. No band. Someone hits play. We're going to do karaoke KISS with Peter Criss. If any other band did this, like what if a rock band came out and put on a tape and like played to it? You would be so thoroughly offended. You go, rip off, I want my money back. When Peter Criss sings Beth to a tape, it was so thoroughly endearing to me. Not one person around me went, hey, wait a minute, man, that's a tape. Everyone just went, I love this song. And we all had our fists in the air. And we're all singing along with Peter Criss. And the great thing about Peter Criss is Peter Criss cannot sing. Neither can we. So we were all in this very fucked up, fractured, note with him. That's what I got out of the song that evening. But anyway, the band comes back on stage after this song, and like, how'd you like that, people? And then Paul Stanley tells us that not only does he love me, but that he wants to get closer to all of us. He goes, is it okay if I come out there and get closer to you? We're like, what the fuck is he talking about? Okay. He gets on this cable thing, and he flies like 100 feet over our heads, and like all of us, we wave to him, and then we wave as he goes back. How'd you people like that? We're like, fuck it, it was great. And so anyway, he's telling us that San Bernardino is the sole reason that Kiss has been able to realize their rock and roll dreams. Like, San Bernardino, you people have made our rock and roll dreams come true. 8 tons of, dynamite go off behind him. And finally, he comes out and he goes like, people, this is our last song for the night, and this is the last time we'll ever play Southern California, and you've been the best audience in the world. I damn nearly wept. I was so emotionally caught. This is the last time. Oh my God, this is history. This is history being made. And like, I love you too, Paul. Don't go away. And finally, Kiss were off stage. The confetti bombs exploded. We're all standing there waiting for the paper to come in. We're all covered in paper, blood, intestines, rock and roll. And we're staggering through this muddy, kind of misty field that is ripe with a smell of pot and vomit. And we're stepping over like just dead bodies, reptilian egg sacs born prematurely because of the DB level hitting the hips and just vomit. It's just basically the American low common denominator. And it was really intense. And so we're walking through, and the drummer in our band looks at me and goes, so, what'd you think? And I said, Jason, if I knew I was gonna have such a great time, I never, ever would have missed Kiss, ever. And he looked at me and went, welcome. Welcome to the family. I'm like, all right. And it was so great to see a band on stage rocking out with zero irony factor. They weren't like, putting on a show. Because you see bands these days, and they're somehow above rock. They have contempt for rock. Okay, here's our dumb ballad now. You're like, well, why'd you have to say that? Now I feel stupid for liking the ballad. It was my favorite song on your record, and you just called it stupid. So I can't like it anymore. So it was great to see a bunch of guys putting on a rock show. And there wasn't any like, here's one of our stupid songs. They went out there, this song is called Strutter, people. And they went into it, you're like, fucking A. I wish every band had that kind of commitment and passion to their music. And like Paul Stanley says, the coolest stuff between songs. Do you know what you people are? Fucked up. You people are animals. And it was so refreshing to hear that and see this rock spectacle, and I went back on tour to see like these pale bands on stage. Here's our next song, Ron. It's a single, I think. Jenga, jenga, jenga.